back, everybody, and we're going to continue studying Android Studio this week. You're going to create a user interface, a basic one, with a text box and a button. The button won't have a function this week. We're just focusing on creating the user interface. In the past, to create a user interface in Android, you would need to type out commands in extensible markup language, or XML. Which is just a markup language similar to HTML that you might use to create websites. XML doesn't have a specific functionality. It doesn't really, you could say it doesn't really do anything. But Android has taken XML and created a use for it where you can create user interfaces. But you're not going to need to do that because Android Studio allows you to use a graphical user interface to generate XML, which will then create a user interface for you. So that's how we're going to do things this week. Remember, when you're watching the tutorial, I go pretty fast and you're going to need to sort of look around the interface, and it's going to take you longer to do things probably than it does me in the video, especially as you're following along. So you're going to need to pause and restart, and you'll rewind and do things that way. Don't expect to be able to just play the video and just type as quickly, or use the mouse as quickly as I do in the video. So be prepared to stop and start the video as you work. So let's step over to the computer now and let's create a basic user interface for Android applications using Android Studio.
In this lesson, you'll use the Android Studio Layout Editor to create a layout that includes a text box and a button. The user interface for an Android app is built using a hierarchy of layouts and widgets. Layouts are containers that control how their child views are positioned on the screen. Widgets are user interface components such as buttons and text boxes. Android provides an XML vocabulary for view group and view classes, so most of your user interface is defined in XML files. However, instead of teaching you to write some XML, this lesson shows you how to create a layout using Android Studio's Layout Editor, which makes it easy to build a layout by dragging and dropping views. To get started, set up your workspace as follows. 1. In Android Studio's project window, open App, Res, Layout, Activity Main.xml. 2. To make more room for the layout editor, hide the project window by selecting View, Tool Windows, Project, or just click Project on the left side of Android Studio. 3. If your editor shows the XML source, click the Design tab at the bottom of the window. 4. Click Select Design Surface and select Blueprint. 5. Click Show in the Layout Editor toolbar and make sure Show Constraints is checked. 6. Make sure Auto Connect is off. The tooltip in the toolbar should read Turn on Auto Connect because it's now off. 7. Click Default Margins in the toolbar and select 16. You can still adjust the margin for each view later. 8. Click Device for Preview in the toolbar and select 5.5 1440 by 2560, 560 dpi, Pixel XL. The component tree window in the bottom left side shows the layout's hierarchy of views. In this case, the root view is a constraint layout containing just one text view object. Constraint layout is a layout that defines the position of each view based on constraints to sibling views and the parent layout. In this way, you can create both simple and complex layouts with a flat view hierarchy. That is, it avoids the need for nested layouts, which can increase the time required to draw the user interface. A nested layout is a layout inside a layout. For example, you can declare the following layout. View A appears 16 dp from the top of the parent layout. View A appears 16 dp from the left of the parent layout. View B appears 16 dp to the right of View A. View B is aligned to the top of View A. In the following sections, you'll build a layout. Add a text box. Step 1. First, you need to remove what's already in the layout, so click Text View in the component tree window, then press Delete. Step 2. In the palette, click Text to show the available text controls. Next, drag plain text into the design editor and drop it near the top of the layout. This is an Edit Text widget that accepts plain text input. Now click the view in the design editor. You can now see the resizing handles on each corner, those are the squares, and the constraint anchors on each side, those are the circles. For better control, you might want to zoom in on the editor using the buttons in the Layout Editor toolbar. Next, click and hold the anchor on the top side, then drag it up until it snaps to the top of the layout and release. That's a constraint. It specifies the view should be 16 dp from the top of the layout because you set the default margins to 16 dp. Now, similarly, create a constraint from the left side of the view to the left side of the layout. Add a button. In the palette, click Buttons. Drag Button into the design editor and drop it near the right side. Now, create a constraint from the left side of the button to the right side of the text box. To constrain the views in a horizontal alignment, you need to create a constraint between the text baselines. So, click the button and then click Edit Baseline, which appears in the design editor directly below the selected view. The baseline anchor appears inside the button. Click and hold on this anchor, then drag it to the baseline anchor that appears in the text box. Change the user interface strings. To preview the user interface, click Select Design Surface in the toolbar and select Design. Notice that the text input is pre-filled with Name and the button is labeled Button, so now you'll change these strings. Open the project window and then open App Res Values strings.xml. This is a string resources file where you should specify all your user interface strings. Doing so allows you to manage all user interface strings in a single location. This makes it easier to find, update, and localize compared to hard-coding strings in your layout or app code. Second, click Open Editor at the top of the editor window. This opens the Translations editor, which provides a simple interface for adding and editing your default strings and helps keep all your translated strings organized. Third, click Add Key to create a new string as the hint text for the text box. In the Add Key dialog, enter Edit Message for the key name. Enter a message for the value. Click OK. Add another key named Button Send with a value of Send. Now you can set these strings for each view, so return to the layout file by clicking Activity Main XML in the tab bar and add the strings as follows. Click the text box in the layout, and if the Attributes window isn't already visible in the right, click Attributes on the right sidebar. Second, locate the text property currently set to name and delete the value. Third, locate the hint property, then click Pick a Resource to the right of the text box. In the dialog that appears, double-click on Edit Message from the list. Now click the button in the layout, locate the text property currently set to Button, click Pick a Resource, and then select Button Send. Make the text box size flexible. To create a layout that's responsive to different screen sizes, you'll now make the text box stretch to fill all remaining horizontal space, after accounting for the button and margins. Before you continue, click Show in the toolbar and select Blueprint. Select both views, click one, hold Shift, and click the other. And then right-click either view and select Chain, Create Horizontal Chain. The layout should appear as shown. A chain is a bidirectional constraint between two or more views that allows you to lay out the chained views in unison. Select the button and open the Attributes window. Using the View Inspector at the top of the Attributes window, set the right margin to 16. Now click the text box to view its attributes. Click the Width indicator twice so that it is set to match constraints. Match constraints means that the width expands to meet the definition of the horizontal constraints and margins. Therefore, the text box stretches to fill the horizontal space after accounting for the buttons and all margins. Now, click Run to install and run the app. As we did last time, just write your name in a text window and include it in a screenshot of your Android Studio interface and emulator.
Okay, great job, everybody. So hopefully that was clear for you how to do that. And now all you need to do is, if you're turning in an assignment to me, just upload that screen capture you took showing Android Studio, the emulator, as well as your name and a text editor or word processor also included in the screenshots. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I hope that you had fun creating a basic user interface with Android Studio.